Hey guys, alrighty. So today was a wild one. We talked yesterday that we were sitting at a pretty interesting point where we could potentially, as you can see here, have the bull flag, which appears to be as of now playing out to the upside. Really, the most recent time I would say that we had a bull flag play out like this was right here, February 23rd to the 24th. And you can see today would be the 29th, so which means yet tomorrow, the 1st, we could see a pretty big day to the upside. So we're going to actually go and look at NQ here. I just want to show you this, just how wild this chart looks. So, we had overnight, you can see we opened and we just kind of rallied all night. We came up to resistance and then, opening happened and man, from the moment we opened that high of that candle until we finally found support at the bottom, 200-point drop. Big drop. So then from there, we got left in, of course, our chop zone. So we basically chopped in about a 60-point range. You can just see, just chop, 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 chop. Now, this is where it got really interesting. So we had, this really nice failed breakout right here. I really thought this was the shorts, like the shorts hunt. Thought they were shorting this or hunting the stop losses for anybody that was short in this time period, because what this really looked like was just a major bear flag. And we had this move right here, which we bearishly engulfed, and I expected us to break down, but then we obviously just held and we got a big old pop. And anybody that was in this time right here, and at this moment, we had stronger daily sellers too, which is very bearish. And on ES, we had weaker daily buyers. So again, very bearish. But again, it was the same thing. You're looking for the bear flag breakdown end of day. We get the stop loss hunt right here is what it looked like. We come down going into power hour, and then boom, we get this massive reversal. So the final 45 minutes of the day from low to high, we popped 130 points in 45 minutes. That's a major reversal. And not only in 45 minutes, but 4 power hours. So, it kind of brings us to a really interesting close on the dailies here. So I talked about a week ago, and really for the last month, I would say here, if you look at ES, we are in, this is SPY, but we're in an uptrend. Now, when you go over the Qs, we are ranging. This is straight up range-based trading. So I've been saying that NQ, the Qs, they have not really jumped on board of the further upside. We're not seeing them lead the upside. So what was interesting was this week, going back to really Thursday and Friday, ES was leading the downside. ES was far more bearish. So you can look at this as SPY the last 5 days here. So you got 4 days of down and then one big up day. Now, when we go over to NQ, what do you see here? Or we'll go to the Qs to make it easier. But what you see here on the Qs is just straight consolidation. I mean, look at this last 4 days of trading here. We are holding inside a 0.71% range, a $3.13 range for 4 days straight. That's just the range we held. That's a really impressive range and really tight. So now we had basically where NQ was holding the market up, from my opinion, from a bigger sell-off. That's what we saw happen in the last 4 days. Today, we actually flipped. NQ, especially as you saw, I just showed you, at open, sold off majorly in a very major bearish move. Now, when that happened, it took ES down and really the market with it. So then what we actually saw happening throughout the end of day was ES gained a ton of strength. ES was so bullish in a way that it actually was able to pull NQ up and cause a rally on NQ also. So now what I'm looking at this right here, if we look at this is a major bull flag breakout. Now there is potential here that this is going to be, a hanging man candle, and we could see a drop to the downside tomorrow. But realistically, when we look at SPY specifically, we have had sellers this whole time here. Today, those sellers finally weakened. So when we had sellers, we could barely, again, looking from our resistance to our support, we couldn't even make it a full percent down in 4 days with sellers. Now that those sellers have broke, we are popping to the upside here. So if we see buyers on SPY come back in, we're going to get a big upside push. I would have liked to seen a close over 523.43. That's our supply resistance from Thursday. But we did get a new demand, and we did obviously hard bounce the 8 EMA support. So I do see a potential breakout tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is quarterly option expiration. The JPM collar will roll tomorrow. That's a big deal. So I'm watching that closely. I want to see what markets are going to do with that data. You know, I was trying to analyze it, and I put it in my written TA. There realistically is no trend, no sizable, no measurable trend that I can see for this quarterly option expiration. I would say going through 2022, we had a pretty bearish quarterly, which we were in a bear trend. 2023 was far more bullish, which makes sense because we were in an uptrend then too. So favor would go to an uptrend tomorrow based on that data and where we're at. Now, going over to ES here, so this is pretty strong too. We had a really nice bullish engulfing candle, double bottom, new supply at 52.72. Now, we did just ever so barely close right over 53.07, our double top supply here. So we could get a little retrace back down to maybe the daily 8 EMA support. However, with this breakout here, this again looks like a bull flag. And again, I'm trying to find those days right here. So it looks like right here, which this would be the same thing. We had the same exact move here, a daily 8 EMA bounce. We give up a little bit. So on that day here, let's see specifically, that's not going to be the right one, forecast. There we go. Specifically, we dropped about 10 points. And then boom, we get a big old almost 50 point day. So very well here, you know, we're down after hours. Let's see, we've moved down about 7 points. So that's pretty close. So if we get a 50-point rally tomorrow, I mean, that's putting us all the way up here at 53.60 area. So right now, I'm looking for the breakout tomorrow. My target has really been about 53.50. That's pretty much been my upside target. And I do think we might get there. Now, the Qs and NQ are interesting to me today. We are seeing a completely different story on the Qs and NQ versus ES and SPY. Now, ES and SPY is basically showing that we are bullish. ES and SPY is showing very, very bullish, showing breakout all-time highs tomorrow. Now, NQ is showing consolidation. And you can see here, this 446.38, this is a nice, now triple top with 4 days of rejections, really 5 if you include this failed breakout here. So this favors that this is extremely strong resistance at 446.38. We're going to reject and go back lower. Same thing, we got the hanging man to do it too. However, if we look at like right here where I was saying we're in our range, we need to get through this resistance, which is same thing, we gapped up and got right back under it. Tomorrow, I would not be surprised to see us open over 446.38. That would be about, from close, about a 0.36% open. And then likely from there, we're heading to all-time highs, which is 449.34. And then really the 450s is my target. Now going over to NQ. So same thing here, you know, we basically have a really nice bull flag. For 3 days in a row here, we attempted to break through daily 8 EMA support. We couldn't do it. Now again, today, this candle looked completely different up until power hour. You know, we had a red body down here, which would be, you know, continuation, which would have favored a drop lower. But you can see what happened is, you know, we stayed here, we held steady. So if this is our bull flag and we're going to get our breakout, you know, we're looking at a day kind of like the 29th or the 1st, or maybe even like the 20th here, you know, something like here the 22nd. So we could very well see a nice move up. My key resistance, again, that we have been rejecting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, if you include that, and then you got a touch back here in rejection, is right here at 18,581. So again, you know, from close here, that's about a 0.4% move up. If we can close over 18,581, likely our target is all-time highs, which is 18,709. And from there, we're heading into the 18,800s to maybe even 19,000 by end of next month. Now, looking at the VIX here, we're going to zoom way out. So if you remember, We talked about back here, you know, in December that we started making higher lows. We were in a really, really clear uptrend. So again, we'll show that just so you guys can see it here. Let's put it from right here, just to make it really easy. So you can see on basically FOMOC day, we broke through this trend. So our trend of higher lows officially broke, which extremely bullish for the markets, that is. Now, coming down here, we had a major bounce off of previous demand. And if you go back all the way here to December, and then we had it back here in January, and then we even touched it again at the end of January, 12.43 to 12.52 is a major support area on the VIX. We are holding that extremely well here. With us holding that support extremely well here, I expected us to bounce, which we did bounce. However, as you can see, we failed to get back to previous demand at 13.72. We failed to get through 8 and 20 EMA resistance, and now we put a new supply in at 13.23. This is probably the lowest supply that has been put in, I think maybe since, I think we had one back here that we maybe took out at some point. But lowest supply that's been put in a very long time. So that's extremely bullish also, because that shows us that our resistance is coming way down right on top of support. Now, again, I think it's very probable that we could see the VIX potentially get into the 11s. Again, we very well could be looking at a new 52-week low, which is 11.81. And that's also about a 4 to 5 year low. I think it's very probable that we are going to get that at some point coming soon. So going over to the dollar here, you know, we've been in an uptrend, and this goes all the way back to the first week of March here. You can see we have what looks like a bull flag here, but the one thing that didn't play out today, which makes it a potential failed bull flag, is that we put a new demand in yesterday at 104.214. We came up, we rejected 104.428, our double top supply. This is a doji reversal to the downside. If the dollar, which has been on an absolute tear for basically the last month, starts to drop, that likely, which has correlated perfectly with tech being weak, could finally give the boost to tech that we have been missing. Going over to the 10-year here, so I told you last week we put in 4.324 to 4.33 double supply resistance. So we've come down. I said I thought it was interesting that we bounced here. We didn't put a new demand in, and now we came up and we got a failed recovery here. So now we closed finally below the 50 and 20 EMA here. So now we're going to start heading down to potentially right down here at the 200 EMA. So with the 10-year starting to sell off, that's certainly going to boost the upside potential that we have here on the markets too. So going into this week, my initial thoughts were an early week dump. I thought Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably Monday and Tuesday for sure, I thought we would get a very bearish move in the market. I thought Wednesday would probably be our bottom, and then Thursday would likely start the breakout, maybe even consolidate on Thursday, kind of a choppy JPM day. And then I am pretty bullish for next week. I do think once this collar rolls, it's going to open up a lot of potential for movement to the upside. So we can go take a look at that real quick here. So let's go back to December. End of December is our last collar roll here. So what I find interesting is, you know, if you look at our December roll here, you know, we had a top, and this is where we rolled in December. So we came down the 4 days after that, and then boom, you can see massive breakout. So basically we consolidated for about a week, almost 2 weeks post collar roll, and then we started our push to the upside. So if we go back to the September roll, which was right about right here, same thing. The roll was a bearish day. We kind of consolidated. We had a big drop. I think this was related to the BOJ stuff though. But then you can see, boom, nice upside move. So if this trend, and let's go back to June just for fun, just to see what it looks like in June. So boom, there's our collar roll. So June, same thing. We had about a week of consolidation, and then we had a breakout, and then back in June, we kind of more or less trended down though, but we were still more or less in a kind of a bear trend back then. So, you know, basically what we could be looking at is a consolidation week next week, and then likely we're going to pick a direction, and we're going to probably push that way. So overall, you know, this market is ever so difficult to trade. You know, it's very much so unpredictable. I mean, everything about today was super just unpredictable. You know, even if you go back to, you know, like all this week, I mean, if you just look at, you know, all of these wicks, and there's so many wicks, and this was Tuesday right here. You know, we're just such choppy movement, and then boom, big old end of day drop. So it's just so difficult. You got all these wicks, there's just no direction. Basically, we're left with like opening hour and end of hour and power hour where that's the only place we're getting a big move. It's really difficult to trade. You know, size down if you need to. You know, right now I'm only really trading one account at a time just because it's not worth the risk to reward to trade them all at the same time. This market is just far too difficult to do that. So I hope you guys have a good week. I'm heading out of town tomorrow, so I will not be trading. I will not have a video up or a weekly TA. But I'll be back by Sunday, and Monday I'll be back trading, and I'll have a video and everything up for you guys. So I will see you guys then.